Hello, everyone. This is Lenard Guzman with Emily Robinson on the Modern Divorce Podcast. We're here on the last day of September. It's like that song, Wake Me Up When September Ends.
I
You have to be like pretty
love
old to
that
like know
song.
that song. It's just like, it's, well, I don't know
It's a
what
Green
it came.
Day. It's a
Yeah, it's
Green
like,
Day song.
and it was their like most popular song. And um, they're like, it's not like their normal kind of song.
It's not. Yeah. But I used to listen to Green Day a lot.
Yeah. So this isn't the Green Day podcast. We got into it. This is a divorce podcast. We're going to talk about divorce. I don't know how we're going to loop it in, but we'll figure it out later. So we're here at September 30th. October's here, which is like, it's here. It's like the last. So October, I think when October comes, the year just flies by because I know school and everything. And so is there like a divorce season? How does this work towards the end of the year?
I think the end of the year is always the slowest because people don't want to deal with this during the holidays. I think the busiest divorce season's like probably like the spring through the fall, and then it tapers off.
Okay, so you're getting like probably a quick rush of people probably filing
Yeah,
paperwork.
it's still really busy right now, but then it's probably going to slow down.
Because
And
I assume courts probably start slowing down. Probably people start taking vacations. Probably judges are like, oh, okay, I need a vacation. It's been a long year. Um, so okay, let's get into it. Let's get into the news. So this part of the show, we go over what the trends are of divorce on Google and see the news. So today, I haven't looked at this yet. So let's it's like flying a plane, or like boarding a plane. What is it? What's the saying?
board a
Fixing
plane.
fixing a plane while you're flying it. So yeah, so here we go.
I don't think I've ever heard that saying.
I've heard it a few times because I've heard a lot in like fantasy football because I'm like into that that world. So anyway, let's get to it. Washington Post says here, "Democracy dies in darkness." That's their title. This is the thing. Not yet divorced. Dad wants to put a ring on it. So this is for Dear Emily, but it says Dear Amy, but we could change the name. My marriage of almost 16 years ended 3 years ago. My estranged wife is mentally ill, mentally abusive, and an alcoholic. Since separation, she has been to rehab twice, spent a month in a mental institution. I filed for divorce. My ex has been completely non-compliant to any sort of agreement. I'm on my second lawyer. We're on our way to court. After we separated, I met a wonderful woman, and we've been dating for 2 years. Around the time I filed for divorce, my new love is a single working mom. I have custody of 2 children. So it's sometimes a challenge to spend time together, but we find a way to make it work. I purchased an engagement ring 9 months ago. I wasn't expecting my divorce to take this long. I obviously cannot get married until my divorce goes through. My girlfriend knows that I want to marry her and knows that I have the ring, but the engagement will be overshadowed by the fact that I'm still legally married. My girlfriend hates the idea of being the other woman on paper, even though she's not. I want to be respectful to my future wife and her daughter, but I also want her to know how special she is to me. Do I wait another few months or do I give her the ring now?
Well, I actually get asked a lot of questions about like, can I date when my divorce is still pending, or is it bad to do that? Or like, I think that all that is really a personal decision. I have people that are engaged and they get married the day after their divorce is final. And then some people who won't even go on a date until their divorce is final. It's truly a personal decision that people have to make based on their own views and beliefs and what's comfortable for them. So legally, I can't really, say, I mean, you can do whatever you want. There's nothing against getting engaged while you're still married before the divorce is final. So, that's all I can say is it's really what's up to how the person feels about it.
Yeah, like probably nowadays, like life's so short, things can happen so fast, you never know. So, or you can think about it. All right, let's get to the next article. So Zoe Kravitz, this is Lenny Kravitz's daughter. I used to listen to his stuff, and I watch this. I forget the name of the show. It was. Do you watch her on? You know what I'm talking about? Zoe Kravitz.
I know who Zoe Kravitz is, but I didn't know she has a show.
It's the one where they throw the guy off the stairs. I want to say Big Lies. I could be wrong, but it'll come to me later. So she's in the news. People.com. This article: Zoe Kravitz admits divorce is complex, breakups are sad, but are beautiful things too. It's so complex at space when you're in between heartbroken and mourning the loss of something and excited for what's ahead of you. So Kravitz says, I guess she went through a divorce here. So she's revealing some rare insights into her divorce from ex-husband Carl Guzman, opening up about the sad and beautiful experience in a recent interview. The high fidelity actress 32 sat down for an interview with other magazines, in which she discussed her music career and how working with producer Jack Antonoff helped her process her divorce, calling her collaboration with Antonoff really wonderful and very therapeutic. Kravitz said she wrote her upcoming solo album over a long stretch of time, subconsciously just capturing this range of emotions, which has been interesting to look back on and see what I was writing about them and now and in between. Kravitz also described her new music as personal, explaining it's about love and loss. I got married, I got divorced, she continued. Separations, breakups are sad, but are beautiful. At the same time, it's about the bittersweetness, that beginning and that end. It's so complex, that space when you're in between heartbroken and mourning, the loss of something and exciting for what's ahead of you. So Kravitz and Guzman were first linked in October 2016 and later wed in 2019 at the home of Lenny Kravitz. So his father, she filed for divorce from Guzman 18 months after she got married, and their divorce was finalized in August. So following her split, Zoe has been spotted with Channing Tatum this summer. The two are seen together in New York City this August, and source confirmed two people they were dating earlier this month. So yeah, she looks like she's happy again.
Yeah. Well, first of all, can you say she's 32? Like, that makes me feel super old because I don't know. I remember her being a lot younger. So it makes me feel like I'm aging a lot. But I think it's good when celebrities share their experiences, because a lot of times we look at them like larger than life and think that, there's no way they go through the same kind of pains that we go through and stuff like that, but they do. And people look up to them. And when you hear their experience and that they can be happy again, and you hear about how they're real people going through the same stuff we go through, I think it really helps other people to get through their difficult times.
This next one's interesting because my wife and I watch the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and so this particular case, this article, it's about Erika Jayne and her lawyer husband, Tom Girardi, and they're under investigation because it's, there's a thing where, so Tom Girardi's one of the Boeing crash attorneys who, from what I know, they take contingency on these cases, and there is some fraud or something where the money was mishandled to the victims. So I'm pretty sure this is going to cover this. So let's get into this. Erika Jayne's lawyer called her courageous for expecting nothing in Tom Girardi divorce. There's no sign Erika Jayne's money woes ending anytime soon. A fact that she's too aware of while shooting the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You cannot wallow, life goes on. I did read this morning that the bankruptcy trustees wanted to take the house and possibly evict Tom Girardi. So we'll see. I'm out here rebuilding my life. But girl, I have $0. And by the time these trustees are done with him, there will be nothing. So I walked out of this with nothing. Erika 50 told Kyle Richards during the Wednesday, September 29th episode, and I said to my lawyer the other day, I said, I expect nothing. And one of my lawyers looked at me and said, that's the most courageous thing I've ever heard. Every day brings a new disaster. It's just full of BS. So nobody wants to see themselves with nothing, but obviously the victims here are the ones who, ones that need to be paid the money. She told Bravo cameras, it's plain and simple. So here's a little summary of it. Erika, who filed for divorce from Tom in November 2020. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Has been named in her estranged husband's bankruptcy case with a trustee suing her for $25 million. She attempts to create a distinction between handling her money directly versus paying all of her bills directly. The court documents filed by the trustee overseeing Tom's case claimed the distinction, like her prior motion for consideration, is meritless. Any payment made for her benefit are her responsibility. Tom, for his part, was placed under a conservatorship early this week, and Erika, who's denied knowing anything about him misusing funds over the years, opened up to the stars and how she's coping during Wednesday's episode. So I think we should stop there. So what's the conservatorship? So he's under investigation, I imagine.
Right. Well, so it's interesting because they're like going through a divorce while there's this like investigation going on. And obviously that causes a lot of like complications. But it's so hard to know like what she's saying for her own,
for ratings, yeah.
Right, versus what is actually happening in court. Now, if they're using the public court system, all the pleadings are public record from the divorce and his other case. So people could go look that up if they were curious. But if they're going through private judging, which I don't think they are, that may not be the case. But I don't know if she's doing this for her own benefit or, because you may say something like that and then people like love you so much and you're this popular celebrity. So then you get a show and now you've made all that money back on your own because you got yourself popular, and that's fine. I mean, this is her life and that's how she makes her money. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious where we'll probably never know, like where they're hiding the money or how they even got it through. But it sucks for like the victims, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what I say. It is good though, even if she's just doing this for show or whatever, it is good that the victims, they're trying to prioritize that and them getting their money back, because that's a big, that's big and important, and you don't want to see the wife fighting the victims.
Okay, next article. This one's from lawyers.com, so it should be good. How to be mindful during a divorce. So they list a few things here. When you're going through divorce, it could be easy to get caught up in all the stresses and chaos that may accompany the process, from the appointments to the packing, moving, especially the child custody concerns. It may feel near impossible to take me time or step back and get centered. So a few things they list is reconnect with friends and family. One tip that we often share with others going through a divorce is to keep sensitive information to themselves and select a few trusted loved ones. While it's important to be cautious with sharing information with others, it's also beneficial to have trusted loved ones that one can communicate with and for moral support. Second one is plan for life after divorce. Life is constantly changing and will never be exactly the way it was in the past. This is especially true for those going through divorce. Next one is remember to stay mindfully present. When going through divorce, one might be focusing on the past or maybe anxious for the future. Focusing on the past is often wasted energy and can bring us down, while focusing on the future may cause unneeded anxieties. So they say here to focus on an activity you do every day. Pay attention to what you're doing during the activity. If your mind wanders, bring your attention back. Practice breathing techniques such as deep breath. Work on forgiving the troubles of your past. Give meditation a try. It can provide mental health benefits, including better concentration and improved self-esteem.
Well, those are all great tips. What I found is ultimately you have to do what works for you. Some people love meditation and yoga and, doing something calming and quiet works for them. Some people need like massages or, personal time, like getaways. Everybody deals with stress differently, and you've got to find out what works for you and make sure that you find time to do it so that you can stay on track and keep your mind healthy. Your mind needs to be kept healthy just like your body. And whatever it takes for you to do that, you got to do it. For me, meditation doesn't really work because I can't turn my brain off, even in meditation. But massage, that is the biggest de-stressor I have, and it helps my tension headache. So you got to do what works for you.
I feel, I think we've become like, in a way, computers. Like, it's just like we're not biologically like made to run like a computer. Like,
Yeah,
you got to turn it off. Like, I have to turn off my computer or my phone like a couple hours before bed. Otherwise, it's just like, it just revs up my brain and you don't sleep. So it's just I can't imagine another generation like what like they're gonna go through. So
I know it's gonna be even harder because everything is so digital.
Yeah, it's like you have to unplug. Like, it's like you have to go in the forest and just camp out there for like a few hours. I mean, don't
It's
find
still
me.
it's still always going to be important, I think, for the human like psyche to unplug, even when our entire house is run by a computer. Like you need to find a way to unplug.
Well, just I don't know. Like you said, meditation. You're just like like. So yeah, everyone has theirs. So we'll ongoing. It's like an ongoing thing. So let's get to the show. Part of the show where we ask Emily things about like getting the divorce process started, maybe like mental problems, child custody issues, maybe splitting assets. So let's go to the first one. This one's like getting started in the journey one. I was told today my wife wants a divorce. My wife and I have been together 8 years, married 3. She has an 11-year-old son. I love him dearly, but she was always hesitant for me to adopt. A few weeks ago, she told me she wasn't happy. We purchased the house about a year ago, so we moved her into the guest room down the hall. I told her I would go to counseling, do whatever is needed to get us back on track. Since then, no fights, no arguments, nothing. Tonight, I made the family dinner and everything was normal. Right when I'm leaving for work, she says she doesn't want to work it out, is no longer in love with me and wants a divorce. Honestly, it felt like we weren't going to end up okay when she said she wasn't happy. I'm hoping to make this process quick and as fight-free as possible. I can afford the house without her, and I'm wondering what's the easiest way to handle financial side of things. Looking for any advice or stories from people who have been through this situation. I never imagined life without her, and I want to take the final step to be as smooth as possible.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I always recommend that people talk to a financial advisor to try and figure out the best way to divide their finances, and also make a budget and see what you realistically can afford. And, even if you can't afford the house on your own, that may not be the best financial decision in the long run. And so it's really important to, you know, figure that out. There's, yes, the law is everything's divided 50-50, but there's a lot of different ways that 50-50 can look for you. And you want to make sure that you figure out what's going to work the best for you and be something affordable for you. You don't want to take all of the non-income producing assets and give away all the income producing assets, even if it's really a 50-50 split. So talking to a financial advisor is very helpful for that.
All right, this next one is from someone who's, struggling in the process. I'm 48 years old. I'm a woman who's struggling, was filing for divorce. My situation may be a little different than most. We have no children. We both have great jobs. Everything will be split down the middle. I write to ask whether there's anyone else on here who struggles with being overwhelmed, lonely in a marriage, and wanting more of an emotional connection. I've been with my husband for 22 years. Is it okay to want more for yourself?
Well, I think that's a very common feeling, but I think the answer is yes. I'm sure many, many people struggle with that. And yes, of course, it's okay to want more for yourself. But I also find that a lot of times people don't talk to their spouse about it, and they just jump to thinking, I need to separate, or asking other people for advice. And, of course, you need to vent and do your exploring. But I think if you've been with someone for that long, it's the best plan is like talk to them first. Like maybe they understand, maybe they feel the same, maybe they'll change, maybe you can do therapy. It's not just a black and white issue. There's a lot of gray area between staying together as you currently are and separating. Like there's lots of things you can work on in that gray area.
I'm kind of cherry picking the ones that are getting started. So this is the last getting started one. This is the last post of the day. So this one's about a wedding ring. Last night I told my husband I wanted a divorce, and all he cared about was where it was, and I wanted it. I don't want to get rid of it. So this is the ring I assume they're talking about. All he said is he was going to sell it to pay for the divorce. I told him he gave it to me and it's mine. He disagrees, and if I don't want to be married to him, he deserves it back. So who's right? Who should get it? Also, we've been together for 16 years, 2 kids, high school sweethearts, and says here, tomorrow's their 5-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow. So a lot of men ask for the ring back. And I think that it's not really about the money. It's about, I gave this to you as a promise to be married and you're leaving, so I want it back. But the law is that it was given to you as a gift prior to marriage and it's yours. So if it was given to you, you keep it. It's not a community asset to be divided. You don't have to give it back. I think it may be different if they hadn't actually ever gotten married, because the ring is like a promise to marry, but they were married for 5 years, and so she gets to keep it.
It's typical male ego.
I understand it though. I mean, they say rings are like 2 months' salary. So, you don't want someone to keep that if they're leaving you, but the law is the law.
Well, it depends what job too, right? So.
Very true.
All right. So that's all we have today. I guess we'll see everyone in October. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll have more on the Modern Divorce Podcast. See you all later.
Bye.